Hi guys and welcome to episode 11 of Beat to the Punch. I'm joined on the line by Brendan Galuli and Craig Smith. How's things, guys?
Yeah, good, Stephen.
How's things, Brendan?
Oh, not too bad, Stephen.
Yeah, well, before we get started, I have to apologise for last week. I made a complete arse using a new speaker and we could barely make out a word Craig said. So I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll just put it down to a schoolboy error on my part there.
Thanks very much.
But let's get right into it. And we'll start off with last weekend's action, and it was a PBC card in your neck of the woods, Brendan, and it was Lara versus Brian Castano. Did you see the fight, Brendan, and what did you make of it?
Yeah, I had a chance to go, but it ended up being my pop's birthday, so I took a pass. I thought it was a good fight. Lara's getting older, he's getting more entertaining. I guess he's losing a little bit of foot speed, so I was fine with the draw. I thought it was a nice fight to go to. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say that. You kind of took a wee bit of my thunder, because that was my thing. Is Erislandy Lara has been famous now for the last couple of years for being a boring fighter, but it seems like when I'm getting that bit older, he's only going to be in exciting fights now, because he just hasn't got the speed and the footwork to get back out of range.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know. I was looking back at his record. I think it's a lot of that was from Dan Raphael. He was hammering that guy since he came up. He's been in good fights before the last couple of years. The Canelo fight was good. I think it's maybe a shitty reputation earned.
Yeah. Well, Craig, Brian Castano, we spoke about it last week. Castano kind of came up with a bit of a reputation when he turned over, but he never really seemed to materialise it in anything, and he seemed to have went away and plied his trade and come back with a regular title. Were you quite surprised with the problems that he gave Lara?
I was, to be honest. I was really impressed with Castano. I thought, for most of the rounds, he was the more aggressive fighter. He was doing more work, better fighter on the inside, catching Lara with the big left uppercut. And Lara was backing up onto the rope so many times, and then trying to counter him from there. I thought it was a really good fight. Fight of the year, some people have said. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this fight as well. I thought it was. I really enjoyed how Lara had he changed his style, but for me, he changed it a bit late. It was. I thought the first few rounds he kind of gave away just on work ethic alone. But as Castano slowed down, I quite liked seeing Lara sitting mid-range and popping these shots off, and it kind of made for a great fight, especially when Castano was maybe tiring a wee bit. You're getting to see the classier, silkier shots for Lara. Do we think that we need to see this fight again since it ended in a draw? And first, before any of the two yous answer that, do you think a draw was the right decision? Firstly, we'll go to Brendan.
I have no problem with the draw. I thought it was close either way. I could have seen actually either guy winning, so I had zero problem with the draw. I'd watch them fight again. I don't know if there's a big crowd, stammering for it. I think as in Castano, he owes what's his name, a rematch, Michael Soro, maybe. I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that.
Yeah. Craig, what about you? Did you have any problems with firstly the result?
No, not really. I thought the draw was round about right. I had Castano maybe by a round or two, but there's arguments for maybe Lara nicking it or for the draw. So, as an overall score, I don't have any major problems as a draw. I think later on in the fight, I think Lara was coming more and more into it. So I think for me, it was nicking sort of 8, 9, 10, 11, those sort of rounds. But, as a draw, I think that's probably around about a fair result.
It was one of them fights where, trying to score it really was... It was so difficult because there wasn't any really clear winner in any round. So really in that fight, if a judge was leaning one way, he could have had somebody up with 6 or 7 rounds easily. You know, it was that kind of fight, and if he did have somebody up with 6 or 7 rounds, you couldn't say it was a job then. Even then, it was really competitive. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I kind of thought that I kind of wrote Castano off last week, and I thought that I thought he put in a great performance against Lara, I should say. And I mean, I would love to see it again. I think it'd be a great fight again, and I think Castano would probably come in maybe a bit better the second time round. Because I'm thinking Lara's starting to now look 35 years old. What do you think of that, Brendan? Do you think Lara's starting to show his age?
I think he's a questionable 35 years old. I think he's a little bit older. You know, with these Cuban guys, birth certificates are up to par, or they really don't know when they're born. He's definitely showed his age a bit. He's not moving as well as he used to. But like I said previously, I kind of like this version of him better. I think he can fight with almost anyone at 154. I think he gave anyone a hard night. I wouldn't mind even seeing him fight Hurd.
Yeah, well, last year that fight was unbelievable when they fought. I couldn't believe that was 12 months. That it was actually a year nearly to the day since they fought. But I mean, that was a fantastic fight when they fought Hurd. But I've got a feeling that fight with Hurd might have just took a wee bit out of Lara, and I don't think that was the kind of fight that it could take years off your career. And I think that we're starting to see Lara maybe, instead of have a gradual descent, he might be about to fall off a cliff. What do you think of that, Craig?
I think you might be about right. They're talking about the Hurd rematch, but I don't think he's going to be making that. I think he's going to be maybe one more fight and then retire, or maybe he might even retire now. Who knows? But I think his days are certainly numbered in the boxing ring. I mean, he's had a great career. He's fought, the who's who in the light middleweight division, and he can bow out gracefully. But I think he had a good performance against Castano, but I can't see him going on for too much longer. I think the years are catching up with him.
Yeah, but I heard somebody mentioning this the other day, and it was Kell Brook apparently is still a boxer. I don't know, I've not seen him in the ring for that long. I don't know if we can believe that rumour, but could you imagine either Castano or Lara taking on Brook? How do you think that fight would go? We'll aim that first at Brendan.
He's been out of the ring so long. I don't know if he's big enough to deal with these guys. I think Castano would maybe probably walk through him, and I think Lara's a bad matchup for him. He'd box his face off.
Yeah,
I'm kind of leaning towards that and all. What about you, Craig?
Yeah, I really like that fight. I think Kell Brook's a good fighter. I think Castano will give him a lot of problems at light middle. But he needs to be involved in some big fights. As you say, he's not been fighting for a while, and the Cannes fight fell through. So I'd like to see him against Castano. Not sure he'll fight Lara, but there's big fights to be made at light middle, certainly.
Yeah. Well, another fight on that card, on the undercard, was Ortiz against Hammer. Now, I was looking forward to seeing Ortiz, and I mean, I thought this fight was quite entertaining. I wasn't expecting a lot for Hammer, but he actually kind of brought it a bit. Did you see this fight, Craig?
I did see the fight, yeah. Hammer gave him a bit of problems, to be honest. He hurt him in the second round, and then from there on in, Ortiz was winning most of the rounds, but I wasn't too impressed by him, to be honest. Maybe he was following your advice last week and not looking as good as he thought, so people would take a chance and fight him, But I thought Ortiz is always dangerous with that big left hand. But Hammer, he's a durable fighter. He's been 12 with Povetkin, so he's fought some of the best in the heavyweight division. So good durable fighter.
Yeah, the roided up version of Povetkin.
Brilliant for me.
Yeah, that was a roided up version of Povetkin. He survived with,
Yeah.
Brendan, what do you think? Do you think this was a case of Ortiz maybe on the slide, or do you think he just didn't respect Hammer or anything Hammer could hit him with?
I'm sure he got. I think it's a little bit of both. The Ortiz, he looks like he's about 50 years old. His face is just—he's supposed to be like my age. He looks.
Yeah, he's supposed to be 40 years old. Just turned 40, man. And there's no danger.
I just turned 37, and he looks like if he's 2 years older than me, I should be 23 years old. I think Hammer was there to fight, which is unusual for him, and maybe he wasn't expecting it. But I don't think he has any business even fighting like the top three guys for sure. I think Wilder would go through him a lot faster this time. Fury would box his face off, and I think AJ stops him early as well.
Well, see, I'm a wee bit different here because I don't know how seriously Ortiz took this fight or if he was trying to change his style, because Ortiz was up on his toes and it was so weird to see a man that size trying to get up on his toes. It was as if he was trying to be twinkle-toed, and it just didn't suit him, if you know. It looked weird. So I don't know if he was maybe trying something different against Hammer, but I still think Ortiz has got something left in the tank.
Well, maybe.
Sorry, I was just going to say, do you think he actually is more hittable now, and does that ruin his chances of getting any of the bigger fights or increase them? Firstly to you, Brendan.
I don't think so. Apparently no one's fighting anyone right now, so I guess you could be open for business with anyone, especially not finishing him and not looking as good as he has previously. I think that would make him more easier for him to get a bigger fight, actually, than harder.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Craig? Because, I mean, if you were to take on Luis Ortiz, it's a big name, but it's also a name who's looking more and more beatable as time's passing. Do you think that he's going to end up going for the boogeyman, a sought-after opponent?
Yeah, maybe they'll take a chance of him now, because he was getting hit far too easily in that last fight. So, he's always been avoided throughout his career, and maybe now's the time. He's 40 years old going on 50, so he needs to be getting the big fights. Called out Joshua and Wilder again, but I don't think that will be happening. But I can see him involved in maybe a Povetkin or a Parker fight, maybe. Someone like that. But I think there's still enough quality there for him to have, a few more big fights in him, definitely.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can kind of finish up with that card there, but it's been a bit of a slow week in boxing news, like for stuff to actually talk about, and it just seems that all the best, juiciest news this week has kind of been about Dillian White. It's all just reverted back round about Big Dillian. So let's start off with the WBC saying that Dillian White will not be the mandatory. It's Dominic Breazeale, who we all know was a mandatory, but that White is there was no mention of him in the statement. So what it looks like is Dillian White is kind of back to being irrelevant. What do you think of that? We'll go to Brendan first.
I wouldn't say he. Is it true that he's signed with Top Rank, or I've seen Eddie was saying he hasn't, that he wants to work with them still. I don't understand. I don't understand how. I don't understand how he's not the number one contender. Well, how is Breazeale the contender when he's ranked number one by that organization? I guess, WBC does whatever they want.
Yeah, but I think it was something along the lines of, it was already announced that Breazeale, I think it was Molina, was going to be a final eliminator. But then the Dillian White fight that was before that had one of these silver belts or a diamond belt, which put him automatically into that position. But there was already a final eliminator in place, or one of these situations that because the WBC created a belt, this is a monster that they've made themselves, that kind of thing, But what do you think about it, Craig? Do you agree that? Do you think that Dillian White should be mandatory, and where do you think that he actually goes for here?
100% Dillian White should be mandatory. This is just another example of the WBC screwing over Dillian White, because he was meant to be mandatory before, and then they made it Breazeale, and now they're meant to fight Breazeale, and now it's Wilder fighting Breazeale now. So the WBC just seems to be screwing him over time and time again. So he needs to move on, really. move up the rankings in another organisation. Maybe not focus on the WBC so much, and get another big fight. Who that may be, not too sure. Rumours of the Tyson Fury fight. If they're both on ESPN now, going through that deal, that fight's going to be a lot easier to make. Seems the more logical fight. So that's certainly the fight I'd like to see.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I seen Eddie Hearn in an interview with Dillian White just a few weeks ago. It was brilliant to watch. It was great. Dillian White didn't hold back when Eddie was sitting there. It was great. But Eddie Hearn says something, and what it was he says, look at all these heavyweights where there's no plan for them. The guys like your Joe Joyces and, these guys who are, they're heading nowhere. They just kind of float about the rankings, or actually there's no end game. And Eddie was making it sound like there is an end game for Dillian White, but he's knocked back a final eliminator with Pulev. He's knocked back a final eliminator with Luis Ortiz. This is kind of, he's been mismanaged or misadvised, if you ask me, because now that the WBC have slammed that door shut on him, where does Dillian White go? He's kind of left in limbo. That was just my kind of thoughts on it. It was just funny with Eddie Hearn saying that the other week there. But as Brendan brought up, so we'll take us back to Brendan. It looks as if he's about to sign with Top Rank. But we know that he fights deal to deal, fight to fight with Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. Do we kind of see a Tyson Fury like Frank Warren, Top Rank kind of deal, where he'll just be fighting for them in the US, but he'll still be on like Matchroom shows in the UK? Or do we see Dillian White like cutting his ties with Matchroom altogether?
I think if you go with Bob, you go with Bob. You know what I mean? I thought this would be a shrewd signing if he was going to end up as the WBC contender. Then Top Rank has some leverage with Fury and Wilder saying, "All right, if you don't want to fight Fury, we're going to jam your mandatory down your throat. You're going to have to fight Dillian White." But there's some options for him. They have, if he signs with Top Rank, they have Pulev. He's collecting heavyweights for some reason. I guess it's an ESPN mandate over here. I guess if he's not getting the money he likes, he's not getting the fights he wants from Eddie, who he couldn't get his rematch. I guess, why not come over here, test the waters, maybe sign like a 3-fight deal and see how it goes.
Yeah, well, see, this was something that I was talking to somebody about. It might even have been you, Brendan, so I'll give this one to Craig. But it was, if the Fury White fight does come off, it obviously makes sense for fans to want it in the UK. But Bob Arum is going to want that fight in the US, and that fight will probably sell in the US because heavyweight fights usually always do sell in the US. If that fight comes off, do you think it's going to happen in the UK or stateside?
I think it'll definitely.
I think it should happen in the UK. That's where the fight certainly belongs. That's where you get the biggest crowd.
2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. We have two guys. We have the two you talking. So we'll aim this at Craig first. Sorry. So we'll go this with Craig. Do you think it happens in the UK or in the US, or where it should happen?
Definitely America for me. If Top Rank and ESPN have signed both of those fighters, then they're going to want that fight to be in America, 100%. And to be honest, that's going to be disappointing because 2 British fighters, we want to see that fight in the UK. But I think it's a really, really good fight. But I think Tyson Fury would be too strong for Dillian White. I just think he would completely outbox him. But I think it's a really big fight and really good fight to make. Makes a lot of money and does big pay-per-view numbers.
Yeah. Well, Brendan, let's go to you. How do you, as a big boxing fan in the States, would it be a fight that you would want to go and see? Does it have selling appeal in the US? Is it something that you would like to go and see?
If it was here local, I'd 100% go see it. Not a fight I'd get on a plane and go to Vegas or LA. If it's in New York, I'd go. The thing with the Fury, he's not nearly as big a star here as he is in the UK. And Dillian White, unless you're following boxing closely, or really don't know who he is. So I don't even know if it would sell out the Gardens, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well,
So
this is also one of the things as well. Would it not be a bit of a waste, an asset, if Aram took both of these guys, 2 top 5 heavyweights, 2 top 4 heavyweights, you could probably argue, and then put them in a fight week each year, relatively quick? That's not really the way boxing promoters work, is it?
that's not the way Bob works. He likes to let things marinate.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what he's promised him. What kind of? Obviously, he's looking for a big fight. I'm sure what he would do is, you put him on the same card, and then you see if Fury can get his Wilder fight, and then if he can't, then you match them together. But you're still having the same problem that Dillian's still having the same problem he had in the UK. He's going to be second banana, and I guess maybe as long as he's getting paid right, he doesn't care if he's being second banana or first banana.
Yeah, that's that thing. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah.
But let's move on. And it was other big news. It's coming for DAZN and Eddie Hearn, really. And it's Gassiev signed with DAZN. What do we think of this deal, guys? And where has Gassiev been? We'll go to Craig with this one. Craig?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal for Gassiev, getting a multi-fight deal with DAZN, and apparently he's moving up to heavyweight as well. So that's quite a statement, I think. He's been out since the Usyk Super Series final, so he needs to get back and fighting regularly. So hopefully we'll see him around Europe or probably in America, fighting against some top 10 heavyweights. I think he's a big man, bigger than Usyk, and he's naturally outgrown cruiserweight, so his trainer was saying. So it's just logical for him to go up to heavyweight. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in some big fights in heavyweight pretty soon,
Yeah. Brendan, with the thing that's always been famous with the cruiserweights is it's not a big money division, and it's usually because the best cruiserweights are usually for Eastern Bloc. Now we're going to have the 2 best cruiserweights, arguably the 2 best cruiserweights, moving up to heavyweight. Does that make it a bit more appealing, a bit more an easy sell for Eddie Hearn in the States, because it will be a DAZN fight?
Yeah. I think heavyweight's always a bigger deal. No one really seems to care about cruiserweight, which I don't understand. There's been some great fights, maybe because it's a newer division.
Yeah,
but there's been a lot of great fights. The guys, you don't get any fat guys at cruiserweight. Everyone's in shape. But I think Gassiev maybe was hurt after the Usyk fight. I think someone said I read he was having surgery. I don't know why he hasn't been back in action, at least for a tune-up fight. But everyone says the same thing about him. The guy, I think Ariola said that's the guys hit him the hardest when they were sparring together at anybody's foot. It's what some big punchers. I don't know if he was just blowing smoke up the guy's ass before the Usyk fight, but I don't know. Good to have another face at heavyweight. Good to have another, big puncher.
Well, see, he was trained with Abel Sanchez, but I think if he's going to go up to heavyweight, then he should stick with somebody like Abel Sanchez. Abel Sanchez got a good track record with guys at his calibre, guys that fight like him. That's kind of Abel Sanchez bread and butter, don't you think?
Yeah, I like Abel.
Yeah, I'm the same as well. It's just as well, it's like, do we think that he was kind of showing up in the Super Series final? Do we think that they kind of flaws, if he's been out injured, do you think he's actually been back working and kind of working on his ring craft a bit more? Because, that final, it looked as if it was going to be a great fight, and then it ended up a bit of a squib because it was so one-sided from start to finish. Do we think that he's going to come in heavyweight and maybe that division will suit him better because guys are more plodding? They're more willing to stand in front of him. We'll send that to you, Craig.
Yeah, it was completely outclassed in the Super Series final. So hopefully, he's been bulking up and working on his boxing skills. But I think heavyweight will suit him a bit more. He's a big man, 6'4". He's going to be piling on a few more pounds. So he'll be looking to get in there and trade more and get and stand in front of guys. And with his power, he's knocked out a lot of guys, and with his power, I can see him, knocking out a lot of good guys at heavyweight. And he's got some good boxing skills as well. So if he needs to, he can go 12 and win in points. So yeah, I think it's a really good move. Just adds an extra dimension to the heavyweight division with Usyk and Gassiev going up there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, kind of. We've talked that one to death a wee bit there. So we'll just move on to the last bit of the news, and it was something I thought was a wee bit funny. It was coming from Frank Warren. He was saying that Daniel Dubois and Gorman, they're going to fight, and it's going to be this year. Do we believe him, Craig?
No. I hope he's right. Because what would we rather see? These two guys against another journeyman and taking these no one fights that no one wants to see, or putting these two guys in unbeaten prospects in with each other. That's the fights everyone wants to see. I hope he's right. End of the year, or in the summer, we can get that fight made. Because I think they're two really, really good fighters. And you know what? It's the start of their career. So, when one of them loses, they can come back from that, no problem.
That's
whatsoever.
exactly, you will just take the words right out of my mouth. This is when you would want a fight like this. This is like a James DeGale, George Groves kind of situation.
Yeah,
It's that
exactly.
early on in the career. It doesn't really matter. It just kind of lets you see exactly where they are.
Yeah.
Brendan, I don't know how much you get to see being over on the stateside, but over here, Frank Warren has a deal with one of your big platforms with BT. He's not had a card on this year, I'm led to believe. No, he's not had a card on so far this year. Do we think that Frank Warren's maybe falling into this trap that Eddie Hearn has fell into, and he's chasing the dream in America and forgetting his bread and butter back here in the UK?
I don't know, because all those BT Sport cards now stream on ESPN Plus, the streaming service we have here.
Yeah.
I think that's actually that's a good thing. I think I pay like $4.95 a month. It's I get to see these guys on Saturday afternoon, or I think there's a fight he has Cardiaz on Friday, right? Friday.
Yeah.
I just got an email that's on the streaming service. So I don't know if he's partnering with. I guess he's in bed with Bob Arum. I mean, he's got the deepest pockets in the game. I don't think that's a bad thing to be involved with.
Yeah, and one thing about Bob is Bob can bulge you in the States, and if you're going to hang off somebody's coattails, it's Bob Arum's, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he has the biggest war chest, especially being with ESPN.
Yeah, well, it was just something I wanted to touch on because Frank has had a bit of a disappointing year so far here in the UK, and I'm just thinking, is BT going to maybe force his hand with his prospects? Because they did give him a lot of money, and he's not really spent it.
This whole first quarter has been not that great, I guess, all the way around. There's been no really big fights made. There's been.
Yeah, we're still waiting in this year to catch fire, Have you got anything else to say in that, Craig, just before we jump on to the previews?
What was that?
If you get anything you'd like to add to the end of that, or before we move on to the previews?
No, I just think that fight needs to be made. Really good fight. Frank Warren needs to be concentrating more on the UK, but you can't go wrong with hanging on to Bob Arum with a co-promotional deal. So he needs to be making these big fights, and that's why he's probably saying he's going to throw these two fighters in.
Yeah, not to dwell on this, but I'm kind of getting the feeling that Frank's missing a turn, because Eddie Hearn and Sky Sports look as if they're about to go their separate ways. Sky cards are dying. We're about to have a Sky card that's got Dave Allen and Lucas Brown headlining it. That standards are really slitting. Frank Warren should be back here. He should be taking over. He should be taking the reins. This is his chance, and it seems to me that his head's been turned, and he's totally missing it. He's totally missing getting back to being number one again. But I will leave that at that, because I don't really like talking about promoters too much. We'll move on to the previews, and this weekend we've got Sean Porter, who I actually like. The guy gets a lot of stick, and he's taking on Ugas, which is a very dangerous fight, if you ask me. What do you think of this fight, Brendan?
I like Sean Porter. Like you said, most people don't like him. He's got that rough and tumble style. I've only seen Ugas a couple fights. He beat Ray Robinson, a couple other decent guys to get here. I don't know if he's going to be able to deal with the Sean Porter pressure, the rough stuff, the in your face for 12 rounds, the unbelievable conditioning that guy has. It could be, a lot of people fold under that type of pressure. Be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, it seems as if Sean Porter himself is kind of weary because I think Ugas is ranked in the top 10. I'm sure he is a top 10 fighter at welterweight if you ask me, but Porter's kind of weary of coming in, taking this too easy. He says he's prepared, he feels in the best shape he's ever been in since he fought Keith Thurman, and I thought that was Sean Porter that night changed as a fighter. That's when I thought that Porter actually, he's vastly improved. What do you think about this fight, Craig? Do you think there's any danger of Porter losing it?
Well, yeah, it sounds like he's taking it seriously, and he needs to be honest. Ugas is a good fighter, 23-3, ranked 8 in the welterweight division. So the guy's no pushover, good amateur pedigree, and he'll be looking to go in there and make a statement against WBC champion Porter. Porter needs to be on his game, needs to be focused and ready and put in a good performance. Otherwise, he could get turned over, I expect Porter to be too strong over the 12 rounds, but it should be a good fight, a good fight to come back in after the Danny Garcia win, 6 months ago. So, yeah, it should be a good fight.
Yeah, well, Sean Porter's got a lot of potential options, pay-per-view option, big money options. Is this the risk in this fight come as a bit of a shock, especially in today's boxing? To Craig?
Yeah, not a pay-per-view fight for me. They'll be struggling to sell this one. But,
no, I was meaning about. There's potential Keith Thurman fights maybe around the corner, or Danny Garcia rematch. There's big fights on the horizon. This one could, potentially throw a spanner in all that.
Yeah, I don't think he'll take if he comes through, I don't think he'll be taking the Thurman rematch. But I do like, Spencer Crawford maybe, or maybe even Pacquiao. All the big names in the welterweight division. So, I think he can take his pick really once he comes through. But we'll have to wait and see. I think Porter's a very good fighter, but probably ranks 4th out of the champions because the other 3 are just a weak level.
Yeah. Brendan, how much do you think Sean Porter's improved as a fighter since, just say, the Kell Brook fight?
I think he's gotten a lot better. I know he spends a lot of time he travels all over. I think for this fight he was working with Lamont Peterson a lot down in D.C. I know he always spends time with Freddie Roach. So I think he travels to up his game. He doesn't always stay put in Vegas, which is good. I like Sean Porter. I find the placement of this fight curious. Next week is Fox's big pay-per-view debut, Garcia versus Spence. And this fight over here is on Fox. It's the national network. It's pretty much in every home around. I don't know if you want to have Sean Porter be your introduction into boxing. If you're going to want to buy a pay-per-view off watching him, not exactly the most fan-friendly style. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think that Sean Porter, he's one of them fighters. He can either be in a barnstorm or a war, or it can just be a punch and grab kind of thing. So as you say, it is quite a big risk by Fox.
Yeah, especially with the guys fighting on the pay-per-view aren't exactly household names to everyone that's not a big boxing fan. But I like Sean. I think he's going to win. I don't see him losing. That said, I haven't seen too many Ugas fights. I don't know if he could box him. He could box him like Kell Brook did. He's got a good chance of winning. I'd say.
I would say that Ugas is more, you would look at him as a banana skin rather than a real threat, is what I would kind of class Ugas as. But it's refreshing in today's boxing to see a guy willing to risk the big money fights of a potential banana skin,
I think he makes. I think Porter gets paid pretty handsomely either way. But I saw his interview, previewing the fight, and he said he earned his mandatory spot. I came from that place. I know exactly how he's feeling. I'm not going to take anything for granted, and I'm in great shape. But that's not surprising for Sean Porter. He's always in fantastic shape.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he really is. Well, I didn't actually send you this one, guys, to talk about, but it's happening this weekend as well, and it's Joe Smith Jr., my working class hero. Love the guy. He's fighting Dimitri Bivol. It should be a bit of a walkover for Bivol, Craig?
I think so. I think Bivol's great light heavyweight champ. I think he'll be too strong. I think he's one of the best in light heavyweight division. Joe Smith Jr. is a really, really good fighter as well, but I don't think he's quite at that level of Bivol, you know?
Yeah.
He's got all the punches in the book.
Yeah, definitely. Brendan, what do we think? Is this the last game that Bivol gets? Do we want to see him stepped up after this one?
We're going to find out if he can take a punch to the face, that's for sure, because Joe Smith can do one thing, it's hit hard. I just read an article before saying Bivol he'll move down in weight if he needs to for another a championship fight, which doesn't make much sense. Every time you watch someone go down, it's usually not a good thing. But I would say they have to step him up after this.
See, I've not actually seen what you're talking about there, but do we think that he's maybe realising that guys like Kovalev and that are maybe too big for him?
I'm not sure. I'm always surprised when someone says they want to go down. But there's plenty of good fights to make.
Where he is.
Plenty of good fights to make at 175.
Yeah, definitely is. And I mean, they've got that full Russian Eastern Bloc thing there because, I mean, I'm sure that 3 of the world champions are all from that area, and, if you take a fight to Russia, they deal with big money there, But is everybody writing Joe Smith off? Because, I mean, the boy can punch. He's an honest fighter, he's kind of a throwback, what you see is what you get with him. Both of you guys writing him off. We'll go with you first, Craig.
Yeah, I am. Joe Smith Jr. is a good fighter, but he's just not at Bivol's level, to be honest. He's a good fun fighter, Joe Smith, but yeah, Bivol for me all day long. Just think he's too classy. Good technical boxer. I just think he'll be too strong for him.
Yeah,
what about you, Brendan? A Bivol win?
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't count Joe Smith out though. He's definitely got he's got a puncher's chance. At least, we see he's not very. Bivol's like I said, he's not a very big guy. We'll see if he can take a big guy punch because Joe Smith. I'm sure he's going to come to fight. He's going to be in shape, and it's in a fight in New York, and Shawnee Monahan's also fighting that card. Maybe they'll have a big Long Island crowd up there in upstate New York.
Yeah, and that Joe Smith's going to have pretty much everybody for a building site there with him, And that's why I love the guy. I remember when he beat Hopkins, the next day, or like 2 days later, he was at his work, back on site with a belt, it was refreshing to see. I loved that.
yeah, the real 1940s, 50s throwback. I guess the money you make is good, but he needs his job too. Maybe I think he maybe bought a house with the Hopkins money and then it was gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I love stuff like that. You see the glitz and the glamour, especially when us Brits watch the events in America. But the money, the very same with Britain, the money stays at the very top. It doesn't trickle down to these guys.
There's I like a fight on that card as well. Callum Johnson's coming over.
Yeah.
To fight Shawnee Monahan. I think that could sneakily be the best fight of the weekend. Just a couple of guys throwing bombs. Should be good.
Yeah. As a crack, I actually was reading Johnson's interview today, and he says he's coming over to take it. He's coming over to take the fight right to Monahan. So. He's a big laddie. What do you think about that, Craig? Just briefly, Shawnee Monahan, Callum Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, Callum Johnson's a good fighter. He just seems to take on any fights from all comers, Saw him against Viterbiev, causing some problems. But, ultimately got smashed out of there in 4 or 5. But I think, I think it could be a really good fight and entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I think he won quite a few fans that night, even though he kind of, he get dispatched quite early on, relatively early, but he put a great account of himself across, if you ask me, anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's that bit at the end of the show, guys, where we just, come up with something I must see, something boxing related. Craig, we'll start with you. Have you seen anything this week?
Yeah, this week I watched the Johnny Tapia HBO documentary. So I thought it was really, really good. Three-weight world champion, had his troubles in and outside of the ring. Mother was murdered growing up and arrested many times for drugs. And then they always started his career, he's suspended for 3.5 years, which is, real long time in a boxer's life, But he came out of that and, got to the very top and won world titles. But just an absolute wild man, in and outside of the ring. Great fighter. I fought the very best and Barrera near the end of his career. But, very, very top fighter and sadly no longer with us. Died at the age of 45.
Yeah, I've actually seen that documentary that you're talking about, and it's Johnny Tapia that's actually telling you, it's him that's walking you through the documentary because he died just after filming, if it's the same one.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, because just after I watched that, I went and bought My Vida Loca, which is Johnny Tapia's autobiography, and I had it on the must see one of the first episodes, and it's definitely, honestly, it's one of the best books. It's not too long. I mean, I'm not a big reader, so I mean, it was great for me. I mean, I fired through it in about a week, which is a record time for me. Brendan, your thoughts on Johnny Tapia?
Crazy Johnny. I love Johnny Tapia. He was a fucking great fighter. Just a shame he could never get over the his addiction issues.
Yeah.
Everyone always had a good story about him. All the writers, all the guy, was just a good guy and just couldn't get it together, which is always sad to see.
Yeah, man, his upbringing as well. I mean, you see him on camera. He's always this playful guy, but his upbringing, man, that man had the one hard upbringing, in a house packed full of cousins, and I mean, I actually seen that he actually tells you in his book that he saw his mother being kidnapped, and nobody believed him. His grandparents didn't believe him, who was babysitting him that night, which is you got to think that's obviously where the guy's demons lie, is where that kind of guilt, but. That's a good one. I might actually go back and read that book again, to be fair. Brendan, have you seen anything this week?
I seen a terrible boxing movie called Gladiator. It's from 1992 with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Brian Dennehy. It's pretty awful. I just saw that they're re-releasing Donald McRae's book, Dark Trade. The new edition's coming out. I think I'm going to order it. And that's all the really new stuff I've seen.
All right. Get back to this Gladiator movie. What is it with Cuba Gooding Jr.? He quite fancies himself as a boxer in these movies, because I remember watching him in an Ali film. It was a cheap Ali film. It was the build up to the listing fight, the first listing fight, and it was probably done with my pocket money kind of budget. It was.
This one's not too much. This one's not too much better. Teenagers in Chicago in the late 80s, boxing bare knuckle underground for big money prizes by a local white gangster, Irish gangster, running the show. Whatever. I watched the whole thing. It was all right.
Yeah.
Cuba Gooding. I was gonna say Cuba Gooding Jr. If that was him doing the boxing scenes, he looked pretty decent, to be honest.
Yeah, well, see, when they actually made them up to look like Ali, he did actually look quite good, but the rest of the movie was quite poor. He actually looked like a young Ali, because Ali although he was heavyweight, he was never big when he was younger. He was quite a small heavyweight. And I'm actually trying to think, but I watched this week. I have watched a couple of boxing documentaries, but I've been doing 10-hour shifts, and for the life of me, my mind's just went a blank. So. It's just one of them things. No doubt as soon as we end the call, I'll remember it will come back to me, but yeah, they're gone, so I've got nothing to add to that, guys.
No big deal.
No problem. But thanks again for joining us tonight, guys. And it's been great having two of yous on. You know, it's been good bouncing stuff off of both of yous, and it obviously gives us more stuff to talk about. So hopefully get it done again. But thanks very much for coming on, guys. And thanks for that's the end of episode 11.
Thanks very much, David.
Right, bye, guys.